She was driving under the speed limit, minding her own business, when another driver pulled out of a parked position without any warning and cut right into her path. There was no signal, no warning, no time to brake. The collision was unavoidable. And yet, her insurance company turned around and told her she was the one at fault. No collision coverage, a totaled car, $711 already out of pocket for towing, and the other driver? Completely unreachable. If you've ever wondered how the insurance system can feel completely upside down, this story is going to hit hard. Because what happened to this driver in Baltimore County is something that could happen to any of us. And understanding why it happened and what to do about it could save you thousands of dollars. Let's set the scene. Baltimore County, Maryland. A regular residential-style road with cars parked along the side. Our driver, we'll call her the commuter, is traveling at about 26 miles per hour in a 30-mile-per-hour zone. She's under the speed limit, she's in her lane. By every reasonable standard, she is doing everything right. On the side of the road, another vehicle is parked. Without any signal, without any warning, that parked vehicle suddenly lurches out into the road, swinging into what appears to be an attempt at a U-turn. The commuter has no time to react. Her car strikes the front passenger side of the other vehicle, and the other driver's door takes the damage. It's over in seconds. Now here's where things get complicated. When police arrive, they write up the incident in their report, and the way they describe it matters enormously, more than most people realize. The report states that the commuter crashed into the side of the other vehicle while it was making a U-turn. That single sentence, that framing, becomes the foundation that the insurance company builds its entire fault determination on. And just like that, a woman who was driving safely and legally down a public road is now being told she caused the accident. She's left with a totaled vehicle, no collision coverage to fall back on, a towing bill she already paid out of her own pocket, and a 3-week wait with zero resolution in sight because the other driver hasn't even bothered to respond to her own insurance company. The stakes here aren't small. We're talking about the potential loss of a vehicle, hundreds or thousands of dollars in expenses, and the very real possibility that this fault determination could affect her insurance rates going forward. So let's walk through exactly how we got here and what the turning points were, because there's a lot to unpack. The moment the other driver pulled out of that parked position without signaling, she was already breaking the law. In Maryland, just like in virtually every other state, a driver executing a U-turn is required to yield to oncoming traffic. That's not a gray area. Maryland Transportation Code is clear. Drivers must yield when entering the roadway from a parked position, and they must yield when making a U-turn to any vehicle close enough to be an immediate hazard. Failing to signal is a separate violation on top of that. By every legal standard, the other driver was in the wrong. But here's the brutal reality of how insurance claims work. Insurance adjusters don't always dig deep into traffic law. They read the police report. They look at the physical evidence, specifically where the damage occurred on each vehicle. And when an adjuster sees that one car has damage on its side and the other car has damage on its front, a quick and surface-level interpretation says the car that hit the side is the car that failed to stop in time. It's a shortcut, it's lazy claims handling, but it happens constantly and it can absolutely result in the kind of determination our commuter received. The police report made things worse, not because the officer was necessarily wrong about what happened, but because of how it was worded. Crashed into the side of her vehicle while she was making a U-turn. That framing implies forward motion caused the crash, which is technically true, without capturing the critical context that the other vehicle was the one that created the hazard by pulling out suddenly without warning. Words matter in insurance claims. A subtly different sentence could have changed the entire outcome. Now, 3 weeks in, the commuter is stuck in a particularly frustrating position. The other driver hasn't responded to her own insurance company. This is actually more common than people think, and it creates a genuine problem. When a claimant, the person seeking payment from the other party's insurer, tries to make a third-party claim, the other insurer often can't or won't pay out without cooperation from their own policyholder. Some insurers will eventually proceed without that cooperation, but it can take time and persistence to get there. Meanwhile, the commuter already paid $711 for towing. Her car is totaled. She has no collision coverage, which means she can't simply file with her own insurer and let them fight it out. That option isn't on the table. She is entirely dependent on either getting the other driver's insurer to reverse the fault finding or pursuing some other avenue to recover her losses. Let's talk about what she can actually do and what you can do if you ever find yourself in a similar situation. The first and most important move is to challenge the fault determination formally. Insurance companies issue initial fault findings, but those findings are not final verdicts. They can be contested. The commuter should send a written dispute to her own insurance company and to the other driver's insurance company. In that dispute, she needs to lay out the facts clearly. She was traveling under the speed limit in her lane. The other driver pulled out from a parked position without signaling. The other driver failed to yield as required by Maryland law, and she had no opportunity to avoid the collision. She should reference Maryland Transportation Code specifically regarding the right-of-way rules for U-turns and the duty to yield when entering the roadway. Citing the actual law by name and number carries weight. It signals that she knows her rights and isn't going to just accept the initial determination. The second move is to gather every piece of evidence she can find. Were there any witnesses at the scene? Even a name and phone number from someone who saw what happened could be decisive. Are there any traffic cameras, security cameras from nearby businesses, or doorbell cameras on houses along that road that might have captured the incident? In urban and suburban areas like Baltimore County, camera footage exists more often than people expect. She should retrace the route and look. She should also take photos of the road, the parking spots, sight lines, anything that helps illustrate that a car pulling out suddenly from a parked position would have been impossible to avoid. Third, she should request a copy of the full police report and read it carefully. If there's anything inaccurate or incomplete in that report, she has the right to request a supplement or amendment through the responding police department. This is rarely done, but it is an option, and correcting the record early can matter if this escalates. Fourth, if the other driver's insurer continues to stonewall or refuses to reverse the fault finding, she should look seriously at filing a complaint with the Maryland Insurance Administration. Insurers in Maryland are required to conduct a reasonable investigation before making a coverage or fault decision. If they issued a fault finding based primarily on a police report without investigating the specific traffic laws that apply to U-turns and yielding, that could be grounds for a legitimate regulatory complaint. The Maryland Insurance Administration has real authority to compel insurers to revisit their handling of a claim. Fifth, because her car is totaled and the financial stakes are significant, she should consider consulting with a personal injury or auto accident attorney. Many work on contingency for property damage cases in situations exactly like this one. An attorney who knows Maryland traffic law and insurance dispute procedures can often move things forward significantly faster than an individual fighting alone. A single demand letter from an attorney sometimes accomplishes what weeks of phone calls couldn't. And finally, this is a lesson for everyone watching, not just our commuter. This situation is a powerful reminder of why uninsured motorist property damage coverage and collision coverage exist. Nobody plans to get sideswiped by someone making an illegal U-turn. Nobody plans to be stuck in a 3-week dispute with no way to access funds for their vehicle. Collision coverage would have allowed this driver to file with her own insurer immediately, get her vehicle resolved, and let the insurers sort out the subrogation between themselves. It's worth looking at your own policy right now and asking whether you have that protection. The bigger picture here is that insurance fault determinations are not automatic truths. They're decisions made by adjusters, human beings working from reports, photos, and whatever information they have available. Those decisions can be wrong, they can be based on incomplete information, and they can be challenged, but disputed and overturned. But only if you know your rights and you take action. In Maryland specifically, U-turn rules are clear. The driver making the U-turn bears the burden of yielding to traffic. A driver traveling lawfully in their lane should not be held at fault for a collision caused by someone pulling out without warning. That's the law. The insurance finding doesn't change the law. It just means someone didn't apply it correctly the first time. If this happened to you, if you've been told you're at fault for an accident that you know was caused by another driver's illegal maneuver, don't accept that determination as the final word. Dispute it in writing. Gather your evidence. Reference the specific laws that apply. And if needed, get professional help. Insurance companies count on people giving up. Don't give them that satisfaction. If you found this video helpful, subscribe to this channel. We cover real insurance stories, real claim disputes, and the information you actually need to protect yourself when the system doesn't work the way it should. Hit the notification bell so you never miss one. Because the next story we cover might be the one that saves you from a situation exactly like this.